Hello, sixth graders. Welcome to Factoring Expressions lesson. Pause while you write the lesson title in your math notebook. Pause again while you write today's lesson objective in your math notebook. Today's objective is I can factor numerical and algebraic expressions by completing practice problems with 100% accuracy in multiple attempts. Here's our standard for today. Interpret a context to construct an equivalent expression using greatest common factor, least common multiple, and the distributive property. Let's take a look at today's key idea, factoring an expression. Writing a numerical expression or algebraic expression as a product of factors is called factoring the expression. You can use the distributive property to factor expressions. And in numbers, they show us 3 times 7 plus 3 times 2 equals 3 times 7 plus 2. So this should look very familiar to you. What you are really doing here, friends, is you're undoing the distributive property. So I'll show you how that looks when we get to the examples, but sometimes students just struggle with factoring. And just remember, you're just breaking an expression down into its factors. So it's a product of factors. That's why it's called factoring. And so same thing is true with subtraction. And here's your algebra for it. A times B plus A times C equals A times B plus C. And A times B minus A times C equals A times B minus C. So here's your algebra for that. So we're going to forge ahead, and I'm going to try and make this as simple for you as possible because sometimes students get really confused on this. And it's once I unconfuse you, it's really not that hard. So you'll be okay. Okay, so here is example 1. First of all, it says, for the study tip, it says when you factor an expression, you can factor out any common factor. Usually the book has us factor out the greatest common factor, but you can actually factor out any common factor. So we're going to factor, so we're going to break down into factors 20 minus 12, and we are going to use the greatest common factor because that's what they ask us to do. So first of all, we have to find the greatest common factor of 20 and 12, and their method this time is listing factors. So they list the factors of 20 and the factors of 12, and they find that the greatest common factor of 20 and 12 is 4. And then we're going to write each term of the expression as a product of the greatest common factor and the remaining factor. So here's how I teach it. If you are factoring 20 minus 12 using the greatest common factor, and you have found that 4 is the greatest common factor, I ask you to write 4 on the outside of a set of parentheses. And then I say, 4 times what is 20? And you say, 4 times 5 is 20. And that is the first term in our expression. So we put that as the first number in our parentheses. And 4 times what is 12? 4 times 3 is 12. And that's the second term, so we put that in the second spot in parentheses. And then we look at the sign that is between the two numbers, and it is a subtraction sign. So we put a subtraction sign in our parentheses. And that is it. That is our factored expression. Which is exactly what the book is doing. They just use different language to explain it to you, so it becomes a little bit more difficult. So they say write each term of the expression as a product of the greatest common factor and the remaining factor. So that's what we did down here. Then use the distributive property to factor the expression. So that's exactly what we did. We just did it with easier language. So there's your example. and we're going to move ahead. Example 2, identifying equivalent expressions. It says, which expression is not equivalent to 16x plus 24? And it gives you 4 expressions. And it says each choice is a product of 2 factors in which one is a whole number and the other is the sum of 2 terms. So the whole number is sitting outside the set of parentheses, and the sum of 2 terms is what's inside the parentheses. For an expression to be equivalent to 16x plus 24, its whole number factor must be a common factor of 16 and 24. So this is where you have to know some math facts, friends. So it says find the factors of 16 and 24, and if you circle the common factors, you find that you have 1, 2, 4, and 8 are common factors. 6 is not a common factor of 16 and 24. So choice C is not equivalent to 16x plus 24. And then you're going to check it. So you check it by multiplying that. So 6 times 3x is 18x, and 6 times 4 is 24, and that does not equal 16x plus 24. So the correct answer is C. And our final example here is, it says, you receive a discount on each book you buy for your electronic reader. The original price of each book is X dollars. You buy 5 books for a total of 5X minus $15. Factor the expression. What can you conclude about the discount? So we're going to find the greatest common factor of 5x and 15 by writing their prime factorizations. So the greatest common factor of 5x and 15 is 5, and we're going to use the greatest common factor to factor the expression. So we're going to take 5, we're going to set it outside a set of parentheses, and our expression that we're factoring is up here. So 5 times what equals 5x, and the answer is 5 times 1x, or as we write it in math, x. 5 times what equals 15, 5 times 3, and there is a subtraction sign in the middle of those, so we're going to put a subtraction sign in ours. So there we go. And it says the factor 5 represents the number of books purchased. The factor x minus 3 represents the price of each book. This factor is a difference of 2 terms, showing that the price x of each book is decreased by $3. So you save $3 on each book. So the factored expression shows a $3 discount for every book that you bought. The original expression shows a total savings of $15. Here's what you need to do next to finish this lesson. You need to be sure your notes are complete in your ISN, complete your Google form questions, review your lesson if you need to, and complete your Big Ideas math assignment in your Math Spiral notebook. Be sure you submit that when it is 100% correct, not before, and track your progress on your playlist.